Your dog looks happy. But what if I told you? Behind those bright eyes hides a fear they can't explain. Not fear of fireworks, but fear caused by you, without you even knowing it. And the heartbreaking part? They suffer in silence, every single day. In this video, I'll show you 12 hidden fears your dog quietly carries, and how we, their favorite humans, accidentally create them. So let's start with the terror of abandonment. Every single morning when you grab your keys, put on your shoes, or reach for your jacket, your dog's heart starts racing with pure terror. Their brain floods with cortisol, the same deadly stress hormone released during life-threatening emergencies. You see, to your dog, you're not just their owner. You're their entire universe, their reason for living, their only source of safety in this terrifying world. When you walk out that door, they don't understand if you're going to the store for 5 minutes or leaving them forever. That destruction you come home to. Those chewed shoes, torn pillows, and scratched doors. That's not your dog being naughty. That's a complete mental breakdown. A desperate attempt to claw their way back to you. But abandonment isn't the only terror that haunts your dog's mind. What happens when you do take them with you? But they're forced into a nightmare scenario where escape is impossible. The overwhelming crowds. Imagine being just 2 feet tall and suddenly finding yourself surrounded by a chaotic forest of moving legs, booming voices, reaching hands, and a million different scents that could signal danger at any moment. That's the terrifying reality your dog experiences in crowded situations. And it's absolutely overwhelming for their sensitive systems. Every step around them could mean getting trampled by someone who doesn't even see them down there. Every loud voice could be a threat they need to assess. Every stranger's hand reaching toward them could be dangerous. Their stress levels skyrocket as they try desperately to process way too much information at once while staying close to you for protection. Children with sticky fingers trying to grab them. Well-meaning strangers attempting to pet them without permission. Other anxious dogs being dragged through the same chaos. It's sensory overload at its absolute worst. You'll see them panting excessively, drooling, constantly looking for the nearest exit, their eyes frantically searching for your face in the crowd because you're their only anchor in this storm of overwhelming stimulation. The most heartbreaking part is watching them desperately try to stay brave for you, while their entire world feels like it's spinning out of control. But here's what makes this fear even more devastating. What happens when you, their only source of comfort and security, aren't there to protect them at all? Being left alone with strangers. You are your dog's entire universe, their protector, their provider, their best friend, their reason for living. They're everything rolled into one irreplaceable person. So when you leave them with someone they don't know well, it feels like the ultimate abandonment. Like asking a terrified child to stay with a complete stranger while their parent disappears into the unknown. Even if the person caring for them is kind, patient, and well-intentioned, your dog doesn't understand why you've left them with someone whose scent they don't recognize, whose voice doesn't comfort them, whose touch doesn't feel safe. They don't know this person's intentions, their temperament, or whether they can be trusted to keep them safe until you return. Every interaction becomes potentially threatening because their trusted human, their safety net, isn't there to guide them through it or protect them if something goes wrong. They'll spend every minute anxiously waiting for your return, unable to relax, eat, or feel secure because the one person who makes their world make sense has vanished. Some dogs will hide in corners, refuse meals, pace nervously, or become destructive in their desperation to escape and find you. Others might seem to accept the situation on the surface, but are internally counting every second until they see your face again. The person caring for them might think they're being difficult or badly behaved, but they're just scared, confused, and missing their security blanket, you. And speaking of security blankets, there's something else that destroys your dog's sense of safety. When the one thing they count on most suddenly changes without warning. Changes in your dog routine. Dogs don't wear watches or check calendars, but they have incredibly accurate internal clocks that help them navigate their days and feel secure in their predictable world. When you suddenly change their routine, serving dinner late, skipping their morning walk, coming home at an unusual time, it throws their entire universe into frightening chaos because routine equals security in their minds. They rely on these predictable patterns to know when good things will happen, when they'll see you again, when they'll be fed, when they'll get exercise and attention. These routines aren't just habits to them, they're the foundation of their emotional stability, and they're proof that their world is still safe and reliable. When that predictability is disrupted without warning, they might pace anxiously, whine desperately, bark for no apparent reason, or act out destructively because they're trying to communicate their distress about the uncertainty. They're not being difficult or demanding. They're expressing genuine anxiety about not knowing what to expect from their day anymore. Dogs are creatures of habit who find deep comfort in knowing that breakfast happens at the same time every morning. Walks occur at predictable intervals, and bedtime follows a familiar pattern. When these anchors disappear, they worry that other important things might change too, like whether you still love them, whether you'll still take care of them, whether their safe world is falling apart. But if you think routine changes are stressful, wait until you discover the one place that combines all of your dog's worst fears into a single, traumatic nightmare. The veterinary office. The veterinary office represents a perfect storm of everything that terrifies dogs, combining all their worst fears into one traumatic location that haunts their nightmares long after they've left. From the moment they enter the building, their incredibly sensitive noses are assaulted by the overwhelming sense of fear, anxiety, and pain from every animal who has been there before them. They can literally smell the terror of countless dogs who have experienced trauma in these rooms, and that scent memory alone is enough to send them into panic mode. The waiting room buzzes with nervous energy from other frightened pets, and the sounds of distressed animals coming from examination rooms only confirm their worst fears about what's going to happen to them. Then comes the most terrifying part: being lifted onto a cold, slippery metal table, where strangers in white coats handle them in ways that feel invasive, threatening, and completely violating. They don't understand that these people are trying to help them heal. They only know that they're being restrained by unfamiliar hands and subjected to procedures that range from uncomfortable to genuinely painful. Even routine examinations like checking their ears or taking their temperature can feel like torture when they're already in full panic mode. The worst part is that these traumatic memories are so powerful that many dogs start shaking just from seeing their carrier or hearing the car start up when they sense a vet visit is coming. But even more terrifying than the sterile walls of a vet's office are the sounds that come from above, sounds that turn your peaceful home into a war zone. The thunderstorms and fireworks. Now imagine if every sound you heard was amplified 10 times louder. Every unexpected noise felt like a bomb exploding right next to your head. That's your dog's reality during thunderstorms and fireworks. While you're enjoying those beautiful fireworks, lighting up the night sky, celebrating holidays and special occasions, your dog is experiencing what feels like the end of the world. Their incredibly sensitive ears pick up frequencies we can't even hear, making every thunderclap sound like the apocalypse is coming. But it's not just the deafening volume that terrorizes them, it's the complete unpredictability. They can't understand where these terrifying sounds are coming from, when they'll stop, or if they'll survive the assault on their senses. Many dogs will hide under beds, shake so violently they can barely stand, try to dig through walls to escape, or even hurt themselves trying to find safety. Some become so panicked they run away and get lost forever, never finding their way back to the humans who love them. The cruelest part? We celebrate these same sounds that are literally torturing our best friends. And they can't understand why we're not protecting them from this nightmare. Speaking of sounds that terrorize them, there's one voice that can shatter their world more than any thunder or firework ever could. And it's coming from the person they love most. Your angry voice. This next fear is going to absolutely devastate you, but you need to hear this truth. Every single time you raise your voice, whether you're yelling at traffic, arguing on the phone, or frustrated with work, your dog's stress hormones spike by over 300%. They can't distinguish between you being angry at them or angry at something else entirely. To them, your raised voice means one terrifying thing. The person they love most in this world, the person they die for, is furious and they have no idea why. That look in their eyes when you yell isn't guilt or defiance. It's pure, soul-crushing terror. They're desperately trying to figure out what they did wrong, how they can fix it, how they can make their beloved human happy again. Dogs can't understand complex human emotions or situations. So when you're upset about your boss, your bills, or your relationships, they assume they're the problem. They'll spend hours, sometimes days, walking on eggshells, bringing you toys, doing tricks, anything to earn back the love and approval that means everything to them. But speaking of things that make their hearts race with fear, there's something in your home that terrorizes them in a completely different way. The vacuum cleaner. Picture this, you're peacefully relaxing in your favorite spot when suddenly a loud, roaring monster bursts into your safe space, attacking everything you hold dear. That's exactly what the vacuum cleaner represents to your dog. An unpredictable beast that invades their most sacred territories. This isn't just about the noise, though that alone is traumatizing with their super-sensitive hearing. It's about watching this mechanical monster roll into their favorite sleeping spots, their food areas, even the quiet corners where they retreat when the world feels too overwhelming. They can't comprehend why you've brought this threatening machine into their home, why you're pushing it around like it's your ally instead of protecting them from it. The vacuum represents everything chaotic and dangerous in their world. It's loud, it moves erratically, it smells strange, and worst of all, it seems to attack the very places where they feel most secure. Many dogs will run and hide the moment they hear that motor starting up and some shake for hours afterward, unable to forget the terror. But if you think household appliances are scary, wait until you hear about the fear that walks on 4 legs and could appear anywhere. The strange dogs. Not every dog wants to be your dog's friend, and your precious pup knows this with every fiber of their being. When they encounter an unfamiliar dog, their entire body goes into high alert mode, trying desperately to read body language, scent, and energy to determine if this stranger wants to play or fight. Strange dogs represent the ultimate unknown. Unpredictable temperaments, territorial behaviors, and the very real possibility of a violent encounter that could leave them injured or worse. Your dog doesn't have the luxury of asking questions or negotiating peace treaties. They can only rely on their survival instincts to keep them alive, and those instincts are screaming danger when faced with an unknown canine. The fear intensifies dramatically when they're on a leash because they know they're trapped. If this encounter goes wrong, they can't run, they can't escape, they can only hope you'll protect them. Even friendly dogs can sense this terror, which creates a vicious cycle of anxiety and reactivity. Some dogs will bark aggressively, raise their hackles, or try to hide behind their humans, and we often misinterpret these behaviors as being antisocial when they're actually just terrified. But strange dogs aren't the only strangers that make their world feel dangerous and unpredictable. There's something even more devastating. Losing the very foundation of their security. Losing their territory. Dogs are deeply territorial creatures who find their sense of security and identity in having familiar spaces that smell like home, feel safe, and belong to them in a world where they control very little. When you suddenly rearrange furniture, deep clean their favorite sleeping spots, throw away their beloved toys, or move to a completely new house, you're essentially destroying the foundation of their emotional security and their sense of place in the world. That specific corner where they always sleep isn't just a random spot to them. It's their sanctuary, carefully chosen for its safety and comfort. The area by the window where they watch for your return, the space near their food bowl where they feel most secure, the quiet hiding spot they retreat to when the world feels overwhelming. These aren't just locations. They're anchors that help them feel grounded and confident in their environment. When these familiar territories are altered or taken away, dogs can experience a profound form of grief and displacement that manifests as loss of appetite, excessive barking, destructive behavior, or depression. Moving to a new home is especially traumatic because they lose everything familiar at once. Every scent that said safe, every sight that said home, every comfortable spot that said yours. Even smaller changes like washing their favorite blanket, moving their bed, or clearing away their toys can trigger anxiety because you've removed important scent markers and comfort objects that help them feel secure. And speaking of losing familiar comfort, there's one mode of transportation that transforms from adventure to absolute nightmare. The car rides to nowhere. Good. Dogs have incredibly sharp memories, especially when it comes to experiences that cause them fear, stress, or pain. And after just a few trips to the vet, groomer, or boarding facility, they begin to associate your car with betrayal and impending doom. The moment they see you grab the car keys, open the car door, or call them toward the vehicle, their anxiety spikes through the roof because they're anticipating another traumatic experience at the hands of the human they trust most. They remember the exact route to the vet's office, the smell of the grooming salon, the feeling of being left at the boarding kennel, and all the fear and confusion that comes with these experiences. What makes this fear particularly cruel and heartbreaking is that they can't understand why you, their protector and best friend, keep taking them to places that cause them such intense stress and terror. From their perspective, you're repeatedly betraying their trust by using the car to deliver them to situations where they feel vulnerable, scared, and helpless. The car, which should be a neutral space for adventures and fun outings, becomes a source of dread because it's the vehicle that transports them to their worst nightmares. Some dogs will refuse to get in the car, shake uncontrollably during the entire ride, or become physically sick from stress. And the anticipation of where the car might take them can be almost as traumatic as reaching the dreaded destination itself. But all of these fears pale in comparison to the one terror that haunts every dog's heart. The fear that will absolutely shatter your soul when you realize the truth. The disappointing you. This final fear is going to completely break your heart because it reveals the depth of your dog's love and the tragic vulnerability that comes with loving someone so completely. Your dog's biggest terror isn't physical pain, isn't death, isn't any external threat you might imagine. It's the soul-crushing possibility of disappointing you, losing your love, and failing to be the good dog they desperately want to be for you every single day. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to your emotions and spend their entire lives trying to read your moods, anticipate your needs, and do everything in their power to make you happy because your approval means everything to them. When they sense your frustration, disappointment, or anger, even when it has nothing to do with them, it devastates them because pleasing you is their primary purpose and greatest joy in life. They don't understand complex human emotions, work stress, relationship problems, or life's complications. So when you're upset about anything, they often assume they've somehow failed you as your loyal companion. This creates a constant state of anxiety as they desperately try to figure out what they did wrong and how they can fix it to earn back your love and approval. They'll bring you their favorite toys, perform every trick they know, follow you around the house with hopeful eyes, anything to see that smile return to your face and know they're still your good dog. The most heartbreaking irony is that their intense fear of disappointing you can actually cause the very behaviors that frustrate you. Anxiety-induced destruction, attention-seeking behaviors, or clingy neediness. Because they love you so much that the thought of losing your love is more terrifying than any physical danger they could ever face. But here's the beautiful truth that will give you hope. Every single one of these fears can be healed with patience, understanding, and the kind of unconditional love your dog has been giving you all along. Start by spending just 5 minutes every morning focused completely on them. No phone, no distractions, just pure connection. Talk to them like they understand every word, because emotionally, they absolutely do. Create safe spaces in every room where they can retreat when the world feels overwhelming. Never punish fear. Only reward bravery, no matter how small. Keep their routines as consistent as possible, because predictability equals security in their world. Most importantly, love them like they love you. Completely, unconditionally, and without holding back. Because that's exactly how they've been loving you every single day of their lives. If this video opened your eyes to the secret fears your dog has been hiding, smash that like button right now and share this with every dog owner you know. Together, we can make sure no dog suffers in silence anymore. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, because next week I'm revealing the one thing that can instantly calm any anxious dog. And trust me, it's not what you think. Drop a comment telling me which fear surprised you most, and don't forget to give your dog an extra hug tonight. They've been waiting for it all day. Until next time, remember that you're not just their owner, you're their entire world, so make it the most loving, secure, and beautiful world possible.